Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Guy Robertson. I'm the Associate Athletic Director for External Affairs at Frostburg State. I'm here with Director of Athletics, Troy Dell, this afternoon, and we thought it would be appropriate with everything that's gone on with COVID-19 and our move to Division II to sit down and just talk a little bit about some of the things that have gone on. As you can see, we're sitting here with masks, and we're about 3 to 4 weeks into the students being back on campus. And Troy, what are some of the things that have gone on since March 15th when we shut down that the athletic department and administration have done to get us to this point where we have student athletes back on campus in some form of normalcy?
Sure. So I can tell you early on, I think it was pretty quiet as to what the fall might look like. So as we worked through March, April, May, I can tell you that the administration primarily focused on us completing provisional year one of the NCAA process. And then we got into mid-May, early June, and we really started to turn our attention to what it might look like to come back to campus as we developed some campus-wide committees, a working group in athletics, our medical team led by Dr. David Toole and our head athletic trainer, Carla Shonley, began to start to lead their groups in some planning for how we might return to campus and how we might care for our student athletes on a high level if that came to fruition.
And if you walk through the building, you can see there's arrows everywhere and hand sanitizer and things. But outside of the things that I think we've seen across the country, what are some of the things that you've seen specifically now that the students are back on campus that have kind of changed in their daily routine for the athletes?
Sure. So, some of the protocols that we put in place, the university has a daily check-in where students and staff who are coming on campus can report symptoms or non-symptoms or how they're working. We also developed a check-in system using our ARMS software, our compliance software, where our student athletes fill out a form, let us know if they're having any symptoms, let us know if they're out of town, let us know, any of those types of pieces. And then once they complete that form, they also then report to our stadium where we do a temperature check. So every student athlete and staff member in the athletic department who is on campus for that day is being temperature checked as a precaution. Outside of that, they have been adjusting to the masking requirements, the heightened hand washing, use of their own individual water bottles or individual water bottles that we've issued them, adjusting to making an appointment to come to the athletic training clinic to get tape, to get ice, to get stim, whatever you need for that has been another thing that the student athletes have had to adapt to. Obviously, they're getting more comfortable with online or blended courses. Online, virtual / some little bit of face-to-face academic support. Team meetings are being held virtually. So there's a lot of adjustment for the student athlete. And my observation is for the most part, they're taking it in stride. They've been very positive, very appreciative to be back on campus, very appreciative to be engaged in athletics activities.
Yeah, I think that from my experiences talking with the coaches through the last couple months, they're definitely excited to have something back where we can get on the field and get on the court and do some different things with our athletes. So I know that that's been a huge positive. It hasn't necessarily been the case all across the country. We go through these steps, and you talked about the temperature checks, and we've obviously had a couple different departmental random tests and things that we've had to do to keep the athletes here and to keep everybody safe. Where would you say that, if somebody did test positive, and I know that we've probably had a few cases, what are then the steps that they have to go through in order to get back on the field?
Sure. So individuals who come back with a positive COVID test, obviously we follow the CDC's guidelines for isolation and quarantine. The university has secured some external rooms at one of our local hotels where we've done some quarantine and isolation. They'll take them meals. There are daily check-ins from physicians, or in our case, our head athletic trainer or the athletic trainer who is responsible for that team checks in with the student athlete every day. Our head coaches are expected to check in with that student athlete every day who might be quarantined. So after they've finished out their isolation and they've done their 10 days that's recommended by the CDC, we've developed under Dr. Toole's leadership a battery of cardiac tests that are being utilized to try to rule out myocarditis, which is the swelling of the heart and so on and so forth. And that's become something that's been identified on a national level that a lot of people or a lot of folks in the medical field are finding in folks who have had COVID. And there's a heightened risk for student athletes, obviously, who would go back onto the playing field with inflammation of the heart and the strain that we put on that. So we've developed those protocols. There's a battery of tests they go through. If those tests come back clear, then we slowly return them to play. There's a progression that we've developed under Dr. Toole's guidance and leadership. If for some reason those cardiac tests come back with some abnormalities, then we do some consultation with a cardiologist, and we would move to the next level of cardiac care, with that student athlete.
I know you've talked a little bit, you and I individually in the past. It's kind of like the return to play with the concussion protocol. We have a step-by-step process which to kind of safely return the athletes to play and to their teammates. Obviously, there's been adjustments. We've had to change times, locations, venues, things like that. Is there anything within the department that you could say that's really we've kind of taken some initiatives in order to really do something extra for the student athletes to, I guess, prepare them for when we are able to go back to the field of play?
Yeah, so one of the recommendations from that's on the NCAA's guidelines is to try to do as much activity in open air venues or open air spaces as possible. So we've really pushed our team meetings outside. We've encouraged coaches to meet with recruits outside. One of the things that we have done as a department is we have developed an open air weight room underneath the concourse of the stadium. So we now have 10 stations down there, 10 racks. We've got TRX trainers, we've got bumper plates, bars, the whole 9 yards. And the thought is that we could continue to deliver our strength and conditioning program and continue to retrain our student athletes who have been away from us for so long. You obviously go through a detraining cycle when you leave your team. So the thought was that we could get out there and we could be really productive this fall, even if we couldn't return to play against outside competition. So that venue is now up and running, and I think it's a really exciting place to go and observe the student athletes working hard and trying to prepare themselves to be ready to return when they can.
Well, Troy, I thank you for your time. I think that's all we have for now. For more information and updates on Frostburg State Athletics, you can go to www.frostburgsports.com and find out more information about our outdoor weight facility.